Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to the Morning Rush, the morning empowerment call for busy executives, heart-centered leaders, causing the change we want to see in this beautiful world in which we inhabit, in which we live. What change do you want to cause? And if you want to change, if you want to cause some change or change some cause, you probably want to visualize it first. Maybe there's a change that you want that we can envision before it happens, and think about the power of visualization, visualizing the cause. This week we've been talking about the book, The Science of Getting Rich, and some of the impacts of the thought about getting rich and how that leads to the actions that would get you to your outcome of being rich. I've asked a lot of people this week inside the Morning Rush, outside the Morning Rush, hey, do you have a formula for getting rich? And these are some like successful people, and they've responded, no. Do you have one? So like people don't actually have we all say, like, I'd love to have a lot of wealth because if I had that, I would do all these great things with it. And we don't have a formula. So that's interesting. G-Sips, I'm going to bring you in real quick. Do you find that interesting? You talk to a lot of people about their wealth. Are you surprised to hear that most people don't have a formula for how to be financially free?
Good morning, D-Rush. Good morning, all. Happy Thankful Thursday. D-Rush, I would say I love where you're bringing this, and I would say I am not surprised after having thousands of conversations. Even the wealthiest folks, I mean, they might have fallen into something that works or providing value, but they still, most of the time, they don't have a philosophy around money. They have a philosophy around family, a philosophy around their health. They have certain habits that they've built systematically, strategically, intentionally over time. But when it comes to money, it still seems like it's over there, and it's just something, well, we have it or we don't have it. And no, I am not surprised. I don't think it's shocking at all.
Yeah.
I think this is why we have this conversation. This is why Mr. Wallace Wattles back in 1910 gifted us this gift. And that book is still as true today as it was back then. Think about that time. Connor was asking me about it the other day, and I was telling him about when it was written. I'm like, just think about that. It's 114 years ago. Like, if you've listened to the book and if you read the book, he talks about maybe airplanes are going to be the next big thing. Don't try to get competitive. Don't try to get competitive and go into the steam locomotives. Maybe airplanes will be the next big thing. Imagine the people that read that book and decided airplanes were the next big thing, and that might be the next big thing with transportation, and the kind of value that adds by going out and creating something. So
yeah, and I'm listening to a lot of the material that is around this book or this thought, and it's like 5 out of 100 people will actually do the things that the book prescribes, and 5 people will get rich, and 95 won't, and everybody has access to it. Money Coach Chris, I want to come to you. I guess I'll ask the same question, and then I've got another question, but are you surprised that most people don't have a formula for financial freedom and getting rich and how to get there?
No, not at all. And actually, kind of build on top of what Jason just said, a lot of people, don't have a philosophy around their money, but they also think that they can't. They don't think that they can be the person that's rich. So it's not just they have a problem visualizing, they don't see that they're allowed to or even are worthy of being where they want to be.
And
powerful.
So my next question.
Thankfully, everyone here already is in the 5%. If you're here, if you're investing your time for the real estate in between your ears, you already have the intention, the potential, and the habits that lead to wealth. There's a shocking statistic in a presentation I'm going to share later today at 3 p.m. I do a live presentation every Thursday at 3 p.m. I'll share the link later. But there's a statistic from the Social Security Administration that only 5 out of 100 people retire with financial security, meaning they don't have to go back and continue working. Like, think of how many older folks you see working at your, your Chick-fil-A or the gas station or, the grocery store, somewhere else. And if you really, I mean, they're nice, they're lovely, but if you ask them, you say, hey, is this your dream? Did you really want to be taking money from me while I buy the bread and the eggs for my family today? And the answer is probably not. Probably not.
Amazing. Amazing. Where I want to go with this, so I'm taking this to the power of visualization, like seeing the outcome. So, Money Coach Chris, I'm wondering, like, how do you feel about visualization? And is that something like you probably have like goals at the end, like, hey, these are the financial goals that you create with people. Do we have them see it? Like, this is where we're going. Like, do we have them like actually like, can you see yourself in that position? I'm wondering if you have a thought on that.
Yeah, for sure. I do. And I walk my clients now through, I call it a 10-year exercise, because a lot of people, if I say, hey, where do you want to be in 10 years? I don't even know where I'm going to be next week. How am I supposed to know where I'm going to be in 10 years? So I walk through a series of questions to get them there. And then I have them write a letter to themselves. So they're writing it down. And the reason I do that too is because it's a practice I had starting a few years ago, doing something for the year. But when you write a letter to yourself of what you are thinking is going to be happening, you feel it. Like, it's a different feeling. So visualize, like when you visualize something, like you can like visualize it, you can see it. Jordan was talking about riding up somewhere in his McLaren. So if he can like visualize his McLaren, and then the feeling that he's going to get when he's sitting in his McLaren. And I also like to know, Jordan, what color it is, what does it feel like? Like, I walk people through that. Like, if you can visualize, like, where do you want to be? What does it look like? And how does it make you feel? That levels it up.
So fun story. I was coming into the office this morning and I'm like, how am I going to talk about visualization? I should probably do it and try it out. And so I said, you know what? I've been trying to get people on school and like to be participatory on school. And I said, well, what if we had 5 comments on a post on visualization by the end of the morning rush to see if that would work out. And so I visualized it. And because I visualized it, I said, all right, well, how is this going to work out? And so I started texting. A bunch of you probably got some text messages. We did some texting in the pregame, the pre-show, and right now we've got 7 comments. So vision fulfilled, a little bit of fun, but I love some of these comments too. We're not going to go into those right now. But the point being here is I visualized and it happened. So what we're going to do as a fun little exercise today, and maybe Money Coach Chris, you can lead us through this, and happy to hand off to Jay Sips as well, and I can lead it also. But here's the exercise right now. What's one thing, everybody choose one thing that you either want to have happen today, or maybe it's the McLaren that you want to have happen in the future. Choose one thing right now. You can throw it in the chat, write it down, keep it in your head. What's one thing you want for today, or one thing you want in the future, whether it's your dream house, your dream family, your dream financial bank statement, whatever it is. What's one thing? And I think you've had enough time now to think about or choose one thing. Money Coach Chris, you were asking some questions of Jordan. Would you take a minute as we all just sit here, maybe we close our eyes and we actually visualize the one thing, and would you be able to like walk us through just some prompting questions that would allow us to walk down this little path?
Yes. So I love to do it with one person too. So when I speak to one person, I want you all to feel it. So I'm going to pick Jordan, because I love your vision. So everybody, when I'm asking Jordan these questions, I want you to visualize, what is your one thing that you want? And when I ask him his questions on his thing, then you write them down or feel them as well. So Jordan, tell me, what is the one thing that you want in the future or today?
I guess I'll do my McLaren in the future. I'm gonna have my McLaren not just my career, but all my dream cars.
And let's
Okay.
let's do it this way. Everybody's silent. So Jordan, don't answer these questions out loud, but maybe Chris, Chris,
Yeah.
just ask the questions. Everyone else, I'd say close your eyes and like answer these questions for yourself. Similarly, Jordan.
So I want you to think about the one thing that you're wanting, right? And now I want you to be specific. So if it is a job, whatever it is, like be specific on what you want. I also want you to get in the space of what does it look like? What color is it? If it's a job, how much money are you going to get paid for it? What job is it? I want all the specific details. I want you to now feel, what does it feel like having this thing? How do you feel now? You're either at the job, you created whatever it is that you want, have that thing. And then I want you to just sit in that just for a minute. I'm going to be quiet for a few seconds. Now, I want you to have gratitude for that thing in the way of thank you so much that I now have this. I am so happy and grateful that I now have whatever it is that you have. And I also want you to visualize when you have this by. What's the date? So now we know the thing. We know what it feels like. We know all the details down to the color. If it's a home, what does your home look like? Where is it at? What does the landscape look like? If it's a car, I want to know the year. I want to know everything about the car, the color, the stitching. If it's amazing clothing, whatever it is. If it's money, like I want to have a certain amount of money, how do you feel having that money? And what are you doing with this new thing that you have? And I just want you to feel, I want you to visualize it and feel it. And then when we're done here, if you can do it right now, write it down. I think that's what we're going to be doing in the breakout rooms, right? So we'll be talking about it. So you have to visualize it, you have to feel it, you have to write it down, and you have to talk about it.
I like that. Yeah, maybe a deep breath and like, that feels good having that thing and being in that space and experiencing it. Money Coach Chris, this is amazing. So how do you, like, after that, what do you do with people? We're going to go into the breakout rooms right now, but what do you do with people? Like, do you have them do that regularly? What's the practice?
No, so okay, so now you figured out what you wanted. What's the next step to get it? So David, you did that. You said, okay, this is what I want. What is your next step? Oh, let me tell people. And then it happened. So what is your very next step to get that goal? And do it right now. Like I make them do it with me. What's your next step? And let's do it.
Boom. All right. So that's what the breakout room will be. You get to share, what did you visualize and what's the next step? And when will you do that next step? And if you can do it now, if it's simply a communication or writing it down or telling us about it, that could be the next step. So what did you visualize? What's the next step? When are you doing the next step? I'm opening the rooms now.